Welcome back to the SPL. Again, we're taking a look at North America, and it's the No Tie Boys here for you today. Finch and Graham, both going to be bringing you here the desk action.
I'm just enjoying not having to wear bow ties at the moment. It's a new me.
It makes sense because you used to be the bow tie guy, but obviously now you're the savage guy, so you can't wear the bow tie anymore because now you have a new thing that you are, that everyone knows you as.
You know, the main thing to notice is that people know me for things unlike other people on my broadcast.
That's right, yeah. People really have a hard time recognizing Taco when they see her. But let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule that we already have here for today. The game we just saw, E United going up against Splice. That game already went the way of E United pretty handily.
Yeah.
Next up, though, we're going to be seeing the doubleheader from CLG.
And this was going to be a telling one because CLG versus LG will give you an idea of how E United and CLG are both looking today before they face off at the end of the day, too.
That's right. That E United versus CLG match, that's a huge one. The world champs going up against possibly the top team right now. But let's go ahead and check in with those standings as well and see how everything's shaping down. It already helped E United a bit to move up after getting that last win. But CLG, if they can get both wins, can claim that top spot.
Yeah, and E United are almost in that spot this year with how the games are looking. If obviously they win their 2 games this week, maybe they beat CLG, fine. But it still means that they've got a long week ahead of them, a long couple of weeks to try and make top 2. It's the top 2 that come to land from each of the regions. So they're not top 2, they're staying home.
That's right. We're actually very close to that. We're in week 4 right now. Really, we're at the end of week 4, so moving into week 5 and 6 obviously will be next. So there's a lot more work to be done, and a lot of work to be done very shortly here for LG. This may be a team that a lot of people counted out at the beginning, but they look a lot better than a lot of people were giving them credit for.
Yeah, do agree.
LG busted into Season 5 really hot. They came in like Kamazat's ult, like a bat out of hell, and they're continuing to fight. Now, things have slowed down for Weekend and the boys, but I don't think that's really a testament to the strength on this roster. KikiSoCheeky might be Rookie of the Year. This guy's insane, and LG, these guys are pumping.
I don't think you even need me on the desk, right? You've just got F-Dot. Like,
oh, is that who was doing those voiceovers? It's impossible to tell.
No, Bomb King. It was Bomb King.
Oh, it was Bomb King.
Bomb King.
That's a good call. But
real Bomb King hours.
This LG team, though, Graham, if we can get back to doing a desk, they look so strong, and
doing
I feel like
desk?
Yeah, like doing a desk segment.
It's a bit kinky.
All right. Weekend in particular, though, on this team, I mean, we used to say he was just the setup guy, Graham, but it does not look like it this year. He's playing well for himself.
Listen, Weekend's always been around there, but the problem is that when he's been around superstars in his team, the likes of Cyclone Spin, and the meta's not been in his favor. This is a Weekend meta.
Yeah.
When Weekend first established himself on the scene, it was playing aggressive gods like the Arachne, the Mercuries. He's an assassin player. He will be good in a meta that's assassin-focused, a la adapting. Very similar.
That's true.
Like, Adapting's meta, he's going to play better. Weekend will do the same.
And Weekend is looking great here. And I think that he has the flexibility to do both for this team. If they want him on a hard carry assassin, he can do that. But if they want him on a bit more of the facilitating setup jungler, he can do that too. He certainly has proved that already. Certainly, he's very valuable to this team.
Yeah, without trying to be offensive towards Weekend, he feels like a budget version of Cubo Fred. That's kind of how he is, where he can play both. Like,
sure.
He can play in the aggressive meta and the defensive meta. Cubo does the same. Weekend's the same sort of variation in North America.
Yeah, when we say that Weekend is like setting up for the team, that's not to mean he's bad at all. No, he's facilitating. He's the one they play through. So certainly strong for that LG roster. They have a tough matchup here, though, against CLG. That's one more letter than LG. They already have an advantage. This CLG team, maybe you forgot they used to be that strong when they were sore, but they're certainly looking like one of the top cards here in North America, at least in the spring split.
Since Counterlogic Gaming entered the scene, they've been nearly unstoppable. In fact, they were unstoppable until last week. Guess who they dropped to? The defending world champs. If you're gonna lose, that's who you lose to. But looking forward, I don't see many L's. CLG, still a top team for me.
And you heard Bomb King talk about it there. If you're going to drop to one team, the world champs are kind of the team to drop to.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, overall, lose to the world champs. Well, realistically, the problem with that is that the world champs didn't look so good.
That's true.
And then the first time that you lose a game is against the world champs that don't look good and just turned it on all of a sudden against you. That's causing problems for CLG. I still think this team is an amazing roster, though. This is a very scary roster they have.
Oh, it's really scary, and it feels like a lot like with LG, they're able to do a lot of that through their their jungler, Homie in particular, man, right now in the jungle. It feels like if you said it was an Assassin's Men and that benefits weekend, then that's even more true for Homiefe. I mean, this dude can carry a game almost by himself.
Yeah, and Homie's yet another one of these that is quite happy to flex the God pool a little bit. We've seen it this year so far. I mean, this is a Hub War game. We've seen a Vamana game. Even though it's a very focused sort of game in terms of like aggression in the jungle, it's not about assassin in the jungle. I want to be clear. It's about aggression in the jungle, not defensive tankiness in the jungle. It's all out, balls to the wall, try and kill the opposition with whatever god you're going to pick there. That's kind of how the meta feels in terms of the jungle position. And Homie, he can do just that.
Yeah, the way to think of it is sort of like there's like these valves. There's 3 valves happening in the game, and the jungler either goes around and relieves pressure in one or turns it up in the other. They're the ones that try and keep that balance, and so it doesn't necessarily have to be by the way of coming in and killing everyone. You can come in and force them back just with your presence, and Homie could do both, Graham.
Yeah, you can see with how the meta's been as well, the junglers are actually the most killing people in the game of Smite right now in the SPL. Followed by the mages soon after, but it is a clear divide that the junglers are top, so playing junglers in aggressive roles, very important.
Well, let's see what it is they want to put into the jungle and the rest of the roles here in Picks and Bans for Game 1. LG up against CLG here in this first game.
Yeah, interesting to see what CLG look to ban here, because by the looks of that, they're going to be second pick to start things off.
Yep.
So priority pick to LG, but then this Arachne has been around and spoken about. It isn't undefeated for weekend, but people seem to still be banning it out to make sure he doesn't have it available.
And there it is, right away. CLG take that one away from him. Weekend has shown he can play it well, but he's also shown that he's willing to prioritize it. So sometimes you can give that one up if you're ready to answer it and feel pretty confident he'll take it.
And that's the real question is, like, are teams actually practiced against the Arachne enough to know what to beat it with? And if you can't beat it, you don't know what's going to work to counter this and not allow it to be so successful, then ban it out. That's kind of how you want your bans to be anyway.
And the reason why we talk about whether or not they played against him recently is not as if they forget what Arachne does, but they play with such minutia, such like tiny details can make the difference for them. If you forget that Arachne can get you in one more in hand than you thought, that can be the difference in a game.
Completely true. 1-7, by the way. Just put that out there.
Oh, for Achilles?
Yep.
Yeah, he's doing
1-7. He lost the last game he was just in as well, so he's back to losing again. He had a little show for a second or two. Hachiman and Nemesis in response. So I like the Nemesis pick. I mean, everyone, why would you not? And Hachiman is one of the safest hunters in the laning phase. He is the greatest boxer right now. A lot of the hunters believe that he's just the best at going toe-to-toe in the lane and not losing out.
Yeah, he's able to do just about everything you need. The Heavenly Banner can hit the wave and the enemy. It provides that steroid. Hachiman just has tons of tools in his kit, but he's going to have to try and make those tools work up against Poseidon and Athena. We don't always see a Poseidon right now, but they're going to have to worry about that Kraken.
It's an early Poseidon, but against the Nemesis, shuts down the dashes, shuts down the Aijutsu from Hachiman as well. And then CLG are going to take the Terra. On top of that, maybe they thought they were going to go for more mobility options. CLG seems to be going for the mobile option here, so Poseidon locking down some of that mobility with the cripples can make an impact.
Yeah, and there's not much better setup for a Kraken than that Athena taunt. I mean, that's going to be free all day long, and we've seen how well Kig's played all split long as well, so hopefully he'll be able to keep that one going as the bans turn towards the Jingwei and the Erlang Shen, at least from CLG.
Yeah, you can kind of see where the comps are going already with CLG, like I said, going for mobility. LG seems to be going for a very teamfight-focused comp so far.
Sure.
Athena turn into Kraken. Kraken probably won't kill a target, but it'll get her low enough for an execute from Achilles. So you can already see the sort of pattern developing there from LG and how they want to play this one.
Thoth going to be the next selection for CLG, so they'll have plenty of damage in the mid lane, but the immediate response is the Odin, and so far, no one can get out of that cage, Graham.
I mean, this is a real Kraken comp, you know what I mean? It's like it's all around the Kraken and set it up. It's kind of like Odin Zeus days. This is get the Kraken off and Rama Achilles to clean it up. That seems to be what the game plan's going to be from them. CLG, all about mobility, but like you said, can't escape the ring. Going to cause too many problems.
Bellona going to be the next selection for CLG. At the very least, can drop the ban in there and try and make the rest of the team at least a little bit sturdier to try and survive any aggression or be very strong in the solo lane in their own right. But up against this Odin, do you think we're going to be seeing early Phantoms?
It could be. I'm not sure if it's Achilles jungle or Athena jungle. That's where my brain's at right now. If it's Athena jungle, I mean, we can like a good old Athena jungle.
That's true.
He's not scared of it. We've discussed like he can be aggressive. He might be Achilles, so I think I'm going to favor the Achilles here.
Okay, but you think it's definitely going to be seeing the Odin in the solo? They don't want to try and have that in the party a little
Depending
earlier?
where the Athena is. Like if the Athena's jungle, it could influence where Achilles and Odin go.
It could end up depending where those two are going to go. I agree with you, Graham. I got to ask, though, you're seeing the CLG draft, seeing the LG draft. Which one of these two do you feel like you favor a little bit more?
I'm going to take the safe option and go CLG here just because this is an all-round comp, not an all-in comp.
Sure. Well, it is going to be CLG, at least for us here on the desk. Let's let the casters do the casting.
Thanks, Desk. We're going to do the casting. It's Tom and it's Ryan.
It's us, the casters.
We doing the casting. Here we are for the game. You ready to cast?
I sure am. Does my tie not kind of display that?
Your tie knot certainly displays it. Right now, we're going to ask you guys in Mixer who you think is going to take this one, whether it's going to be CLG or LG. I got to say, I really like LG's draft.
So do I. I mean, I'm just a big fan of the Athena Poseidon combination. It's a tried and true combo. It works all the time. What are you smiling about?
It's a Triton true combo.
Wouldn't it be a trident true combo?
That's what I was going for.
Yeah, but I pronounced it a little bit better than you did, and I think it got across.
Let's get to the game, please.
So I just wasn't sure if the viewers were really going to understand, what you were going for with that bit. So I just wanted to make sure they were on the same page as you.
KikiSoCheeky on the Poseidon, no surprise here. And interesting selection. Early did we see this water god. And I think a lot of armchair coaches might sit there and say, why would you pick this god so early when he's not kind of be contested? But I actually like seeing Poseidon picked early because he's one of the characters that can shape the way your opponent is going to draft.
It's true. It forces you to think, okay, do I have a CC immune ultimate so I can just get Aegis and not worry about any potential CC? Am I picking things that are not so reliant on mobility? But as well, Luminosity hasn't shown a lot in the mid lane quite yet, with Jigz still pretty new to the league, and teams have been banning out this Poseidon against them in the second banning phase. So I think it was kind of necessary for LG to pick it where they did, if this is the strategy they wanted to go for.
More importantly for Luminosity, I think when you talk about new players not showing what they have, NotGeno on this Athena. We have seen him successfully play other characters, but this Athena is the standout choice for this newer support, and I've really liked him on the Athena. And on the other support players, Ryan, I've just sort of been okay.
I really think that Athena is one of the best supports in the game right now, and Geno has really put it on display so far. He's been in the right spots. He's used that Defender of Olympus in good spots as well, and also just helped his team with the early clear, and that's what we're seeing out of him here, just trying to put a little bit of pressure potentially onto CLG, who'd use that Terra wall to block off a lot of their minion wave.
Purple buff invade coming out here from Luminosity, who was on the bad side of the poll, but not as drastically as I might have expected. 60-40 here between these two teams, which is, like I said, I mean, CLG has solidified themselves as, I think, they're the team to beat right now. And Luminosity started off hot, but have since slowed down, but still, a ton of fans out there have faith.
CLG definitely, I think, is one of those teams to watch out for. It kind of like Europe, I feel like NA is going to have a top 3 situation where it's CLG, Space Station, and E United, and they might all beat each other up a little bit, but they consistently beat the bottom end teams. But LG has shown that they aren't in that bottom 3 that can't beat the top 3. You know what I mean? It's not one of those sorts of situations. This is a squad that has potential to upset any team on any game on any week.
LG is the team that's flexing in between the top and the bottom right now, trying to show us if we have a 4-2 or a 3-3 league. And right now, I think we're directly in between those two. Like I said, I'm not convinced that LG is the top of the crop, but I am convinced that they are better than the bottom.
They've really shown what they have so far, and that's the ability to bring weird stuff to the table and succeed with it. And, the Nemesis solo for Kiki, and some flexibility in the mid lane for Jigz as well. It's been sticking to the mages for the most part, but still has a pretty wide god pool there. And you don't really have to show a whole lot else. I mean, just proving that you have multiple picks that you can do well with and win is going to be enough to make teams respect you.
I actually am just realizing this. We can get poked out a little bit. Kiki's playing this Odin. So the first thing that I saw this draft, because I've been a Smite guy forever, is the Odin Poseidon combo, right?
Yep.
Classic combo here, but don't forget last year when pressure in the solo lane wasn't really the forte. You didn't really need it. We saw Kiki play this Odin, and I remember sitting in Valencia before people kind of caught on that Kiki was good again, and I was sitting in Valencia, Spain, with a lot of the pros, some that you might not kind of expect this from, and unanimously they were like, Kiki's got the best Odin in the game right now. And seeing that transition to Season 5, I want to see Kiki bring the stomp back.
Yeah, that's a great point. This is a pick that he played so well last year and was really big for that trifecta roster for its resurgence and kind of, showing up into the scene, and it fits what Luminosity wants to do in this particular game as well. They have enough CC between the Achilles jungle and the Athena support, and even Jigz with some control in these team fights. They don't need a hard lockdown dude in that solo lane. They just need someone who's going to keep everyone pretty local, make sure everyone's in a safe enough spot, and also just be that general annoyance. That seems to be what Kiki likes to play a lot of in that solo lane, is the gods that can be in and out, harass backliners, and still stay safe. Think of the Erlong Shen that he played earlier on this week. Stuff like that really seems to fit his playstyle right now and what Luminosity wants him to do in that solo lane, and Odin fits that bill beautifully.
I think the default playstyle in the solo lane is really that classic, what I always refer to as the Omega style, where Maniac does it these days, and where you just kind of stand in front of your team and you play 4-1, and as a solo lane, you're just way out in front. That's not Kiki's approach. Kiki plays a lot of these different characters and looks to, like you said, kind of augment the fight in different ways. And
he's done a very good job of that so far here in Season 5. His success is a big reason why Luminosity has seen success as well.
Weekend right now, trying to set his duo lane up for success. There's the taunt waiting for it. The blink forward. The damage coming out against Snoopy. Dash one hit. Looking for the second, but he plays it safe and dashes backwards. So Weekend does not find the first blood, but he makes his play over there at about 420 in the play.
Now, I love that idea there from Geno and Weekend together, where Geno gets the purification beads, then Weekend waits it out, blinks forward, and gets the stun, but he dropped the ball on actually hitting the stun part. You got to be pretty close in order for that to happen. And Jigz' sprint, a big reason why Snoopy's able to create enough distance between himself and Weekend to make sure that that doesn't happen. Love the idea. Execution a little bit off, but in those situations, I will never fault the team for just missing stuff. I mean, you know, we'll talk about how that can't happen, and you got to be hitting those if you want to win, and all of that is true. But I'd much rather have you make the right idea and then miss the execution than hit everything and not have the idea. You know, just play Smite like you're playing Assault. You know what I mean? Just hitting what's in front of you. I like to see the strategy from these teams, and the execution will come. It just takes some time.
It comes down to the law of averages for me. Watching Luminosity, if they make that exact play 10 times, they're going to nail it 8 to 9 out of 10 of those times. You know, it's just the oopsie days. You can, what's the phrase? Or what's the saying? You miss every shot you don't take?
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky and Michael Scott.
Michael Scott. There it is. There it is.
I had it.
John Finch actually said that.
Did he really? That's a John Finch original?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
John... I want to make Finch an original into one word. Finch original. Original. John Frusciante is a guitar player. I'm losing it right now.
What in the world is going on? Where am I?
What
just happened?
I'm trying to create a portmanteau.
Where does Natalie Portman come into any of this?
You know where she's from?
No, don't tell me.
Long Island.
Is she really?
Yeah, she went to Long Island High School of the Arts. Shouts to my alma mater. Invade coming out here on the right-hand side. Just the Heartbeat camps, though, so Weekend will be chased away here. Only level 6 are the junglers so far. Double taunt from Geno. One pair of beads will be chased out. That's Hurriwind's, and he's going to be locked inside of the ring. There's the Whirlpool. There's the Kraken. KikiSoCheeky makes it happen off of the ring from Kiki. And Luminosity, the first on the board.
You said it. I mean, the Odin-Poseidon combo, it works for a reason, and it's been around for a long time. I mean, you just can't miss a Kraken damage when everyone's locked in right there, and Hurriwind just kind of gets baited. It looks like CLG wants to push forward, and there's where that Athena ultimate comes in. It turns the engagement into a Luminosity's favor. All of CLG's like, yo, this is bad. We got to get out of here. And Hurriwind's like, guys, I dashed in. I thought we were attacking the enemy gods this time around, but it's one of those situations where that's where you play get bets against Thoth, where you got to bait out the dash and then try and flip the script and take the engagement in your favor.
Odin is a great choice against Thoth. Thoth traditionally gets away from so many different characters, and mainly because that dash is the size of Cupid's. But when you're able to drop the ring, I mean, he's got nowhere to go. Even if he stuns you, he's still stuck.
And Jigz just gets an easy Kraken. Plus, that was Hurriwind's purification beat. So now he's got to be really worried about Geno showing up or Weekend showing up with a blink. I mean, it probably won't even need a Kraken to bring him down.
Nice stuff so far coming out of Keygs. And like you said, I mean, you played against this. His mid lane Poseidon is, you know, talk about flavor picks. I was talking about Benji on his Hercules earlier. Keygs on this Poseidon has terrified a number of console players. And it looks like he's going to continue that. Nice dash out of there to get away from the classic Taunt Kraken.
But Homie's beads now down. One of those situations where you know you're not upset at Keygs for using the Kraken in that situation, but at the same time, a more veteran player probably holds on to that Kraken because he knows that beads are coming out from Homie in that situation.
Okay. You're the mid laner, so I will take your word for it as Homiefe chases down Geno. Gonna dodge out, using the ultimate. Not enough, but Homiefe. Ooh. Well, I thought they were gonna be able to answer back. Hurriwind takes care of the mid laner or the support before that ultimate comes out. But like I said, I defer to you in these moments, but when I watch this, I'm almost glad that he uses the Kraken because of the trust in the taunt, trust the teammate crowd control. I want to see him fire that out without question, almost right there.
It's like this, where you know that you have a moment to decide if you're Krakening in that situation because Homie does, you know, his only way out is to dash. And as soon as you see your Whirlpool tick, he knows that you know that he can't dash. So if he's going to use beads, he's going to use it right away so that he can dash out of the Kraken that's coming. And if he doesn't do that, then your Whirlpool is still locking him down enough to guarantee the Kraken anyways. So a lot of times you can end up getting out those purification beads without actually expending the Kraken.
Jigz taking some return poke from Clout here. And you bring up another great point, which we touched on early with that fight from Weekend on the left side. And I think it's coming to fruition. And the genius in this Luminosity draft that you and I both agreed was fantastic. There's so many redundant CCs. Weekend can burn beads. Keygs is going to force beads out from Homiefe with the cripple. You know, Geno's got the taunt, which is the patented beads burner. I'm sorry. So watching these guys play here, there are so many crowd control options for Luminosity Gaming that they're rarely going to be stuck in a moment where beads just foils them.
But it's not a composition that just folds the purification beads at the same time.
Right.
You know, if you see Tyr, Hunbats, Ares, it's all great that you're getting out a lot of purification beads, but you're letting the opposition get beads and it shuts down all of you at the same time. Kraken makes it so that you need beads and Aegis in order to stay safe. That's why I love Poseidon in conjunction with those sorts of gods.
Right, and it's fun watching because a lot of times, especially when you talk about those Ares and Bats combos, you are looking at separate engagements. Ares goes in, burns everybody's beads, and you go, okay, when it's up again, we'll aggress or whatnot. This is Weekend's going to go in and get the stun, and that'll force beads. And then Geno, 3 seconds later, will taunt into Keygs' ultimate. And that is a really devastating world to be in if you're Counter Logic Gaming.
And that combo stays relevant up until the point where everyone's going to be hitting level 12, and then it gets a little bit harder to do. But around that time, not long after, Keygs should be able to finish off a Gem of Isolation. And that's where Poseidon really reaches where I think he fits his best role in competitive play, which is as a control mage. He is a area denial mage. Kraken is just the one part of his kit that allows him to be the burst guy when he needs to be. But 9 times out of 10, you're picking Poseidon because of Whirlpool, not because of Kraken. There are plenty of mages that do big damage off Athena taunt. That's not exclusive to Poseidon. It's that he has excellent area control that shuts down mobility, and that's why I think that Poseidon is still very relevant in just about every meta, is because he can bring that control to a team composition. He really doesn't hit his strongest point until that Gem of Isolation is done.
And like you touched on, he forces the opponent to play a certain way. You need beads and Aegis to really deal with him. And touching on that Whirlpool again, I mean, Whirlpool with Gem of Iso, like you recommended, is basically hard CC. You're getting that weird gravity effect that pulls you in, and you're slowed. You're not quite rooted, but you might as well be.
If you stack another slow on top of that, you are basically rooted. I mean, we're talking like on her pillar in the middle of a Whirlpool, you cannot move.
You're walking backwards.
It's awesome. It's so fun to watch. That's one of my favorite combos is on her Poseidon because of the just giant slow that you put out whenever you need it.
Of course, it's the mid laner that's saying this one right now.
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't that? That's fun for everybody, right? Fun for the whole family.
Everyone loves not moving. Kiki being able to clear the wave here, no problem.
Buy a winged blade.
Yeah, actually, that is the response. Buy the Winged Blade. Make sure you have the sprints available. Already one on the side of CLG. And we've spoken a lot about Luminosity because I think there's brilliance in this draft. But Counterlogic Gaming, their draft is perfectly fine as is. But also these guys have the reputation to back up their play. Reputation might be the wrong word. What I'm trying to get at here, folks, is that Counterlogic Gaming recently has just been unmesswithable.
They've been great so far, and that's why this composition would probably worry me if it were on a different team, because there's not a lot of synergy between the picks. They're just good picks in general. I mean, not a lot of setup for Hurriwind in the mid lane, but my guy doesn't need it. He's probably going to be A-okay without any sort of hard CC coming through from the rest of his team. I mean, Jigz has the stun, and fineokay has the ultimate to stun out as well, but outside of that, it's pretty tough to find setup outside of the slows that'll be coming out of the Nemesis and out of the Hachiman as well with that ultimate. But CLG, these players are so individually talented. This team kind of reminds me of a North American Dignitas with a little bit less gravitas, as keegsmate has to use the Aegis because of Hurriwind's potential ultimate. There's the stun, but the Athena ultimate will dissuade. That's just a blink and an ult in exchange for an Aegis and an ult. So I'm sure CLG is not too worried about that. But like I was saying, this team reminds me for CLG of a North American Dignitas with just a little bit less success as individuals. I mean, the Dignitas dudes, everyone knows them. They're bad. They're going to win everything. That's how they're going to be. But this CLG roster reminds me of that same sort of all-star potential at every single position.
I actually really, I haven't thought about that yet, Ryan, but you bringing that up matches up so many different ways. For established veterans and a little bit of a newer guy, that Arkle, that's fineokay right over here in the short lane. Counterlogic Gaming has been successful in their own right, but a lot of them have just reached that almost, right? We saw Soar do pretty well and almost, take home a lot of victories. And that's what I think of when I see players like Zeros. The players that are better than their superlatives might let on. Especially when you look at players like Snoopy and Homiefe. These guys are superstars. And just because they don't have a championship to hang their hat on, don't let that deceive you.
Yeah, they could win it this year. They could win it next year. They could win it the next 3 years in a row if things go their way. There's that level of talent between these dudes. Absolutely agree with you.
Homiefe has been one of Homiefe is funny because he's sort of in this the second generation of Smite players. Right now, he might be in some trouble and collapsed on by Luminosity, but he still has that dash. So he'll get taunted over here. Here comes the rest, and oh well, the shield helps him out. Very quickly getting on out of there. Jigz actually pops the ultimate just in case. But my favorite part about that was Luminosity scattered as quickly as they came.
That's a good team synergy there, saying, okay, we didn't get that back up. Out. Everyone out. Everyone gets out very quickly. And looks like Jigz didn't have the Whirlpool available. That's why a lot of veteran Poseidon players, once they have that title surge leveled up, they'll actually use that to clear the wave instead of the Whirlpool right away, because the Whirlpool is your more important cooldown, so you can save it for little skirmishes like that you may run across in the jungle.
So I think you know him better than I do, and I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but Jigz, just from his play, he's pushing all the right buttons and everything. But watching him, I'm really getting a tell of this guy's really smart. I really like seeing this out of him, and I'm not in the comms, but it seems like he's communicating really well. It seems like he's making the smart plays.
The thing that always stood out to me about Jigz, I mean, we were teammates for a pretty long time, for about a split and a half or so, and he came in and had a lot to learn still, but was obviously very mechanically gifted. And the thing that impressed me about him was that he took direction very well. You'd be really, really surprised at how many times you could tell a player, hey, you did this, that's cool, just don't do it this way instead next time. And for the next 30 scrims in a row, they don't change. And you just want to bang your head against a wall. Jigz is the dude who you say it to him once, and he says, okay, I got it, I'll do that better next time. Or says, well, here's why I did this way. Do you think that's better? Would you rather have me do it the way that you asked? And those sorts of dialogues are very important to have as a player. And no one is going to succeed unless you're able to take that sort of criticism and apply it to your own play. And Jigz did that from minute one, and he grew a ton as a player, on our team, and has clearly continued to grow throughout the years. And I'm impressed with what I've seen from him, man. I'm happy for him.
Hurriwind looking for the flank, but the setup wasn't there. However, Weekend goes in, finds the blink, uses the ultimate just for the damage because he knows Geno's going to come through with the ultimate and the eventual Goomba stomp. Not Geno. He's doing well.
Hurriwind didn't go for Aegis, instead picked up a Phantom. It was Hurriwind who picked it up instead of anyone else on CLG to deal with that cage.
Well, here comes the fight after the Gold Fury attempt. Kraken off the mark. Weekend still taking care of Snoopy. Big damage coming out from this Achilles, #2 overall.
Keegs still going forward. fineokay's Thorns are going to do a pretty good amount of damage. There's the blink forward from Homie. Keegs 1 HP, and Homie's going to be able to finish it.
Oh, that dash cut him down. Only character that could have done that one. Kiki takes care of Homiefe. It's a 3-for-2. Luminosity still in charge. Right now, Clout's going to get chased down, but the guys from Luminosity doing a good job of protecting him. Clout gets stunned out. Jigz doesn't have the damage, but here he comes, and the explosion will do it. Luminosity was distracted, looking the other direction.
Clout just kind of standing there. The Gold Fury pit had to have had Rolling Assault up really, really soon. Just get worried about rolling towards fineokay.
Yeah.
Good turnaround there from CLG. I mean, losing Hurriwind right off the bat did cost LG 2 ultimates, but not the big team fighting ones necessarily. So I really felt like LG was going to be in the advantageous position, but Keegs a little bit too early on the Kraken, and Snoopy was able to use both relics to make sure that he could stay safe. But that's the right idea from LG. Okay, we killed their Phantom. Let's just group as 5 and find the right Odin cage.
Right.
It just wasn't the right Odin cage.
Yeah, and trouble there for the Poseidon selection, I think, is that you mentioned how much other stuff that Poseidon brings, but I feel like that's not laning phase exclusive, but it's when it comes down to the team fight is raging and F-Dot is screaming, the Kraken is what matters. And a missed Kraken can turn the fight, just like we saw. If Keegs hits that Kraken, Ryan, I think Luminosity easily win the team fight and get the Gold Fury and even maybe a tower, but that one single missed Kraken really, really hurts.
Kraken matters, but honestly, your Whirlpool matters more in a team fight. Your Whirlpool placement is more important than your Kraken in 8 out of 10 team fights. In that position, Keegs pushes forward to drop the Kraken after they kill Snoopy in the cage, even though the Kraken wasn't on point. You want to be able to hold that Kraken for the positions where it matters because it sets up for your Whirlpool. It literally flips on its head that your Kraken is setting up for Whirlpool half the time.
Sure.
In these team fights, and fineokay having Thorns means that you don't want to Kraken him, so Krakening Snoopy's not that big of a deal, but then Keegs puts himself out of position to find the Whirlpool and to find, who had a great team fight, by the way, for CLG. A lot of the reason that CLG is even in that team fight to begin with is because of how well fineokay played it, initiating whenever LG was trying to do the same.
Weekend looking for the play on the left side, gets caught out by Jigz. Trouble! Kraken! Homiefe just gets obliterated, but he's still alive! The ultimate from Weekend to catch up, and then the final blow. But Weekend, he's going to trade his life out for this one. Snoopy with the last hit after Hurriwind off the mark. Snoopy with the double kill, taking care of the player.
Sometimes you just got to let your teammate die, and Keegs doesn't right there. Weekend is committing to get that kill onto Homie, and he's willing to die for it, but Keegs steps up too far and tries to help him. Now it's a Gold Fury pull by CLG because of it.
And we've got Kiki here, and the cage will come down just to force the release, and now, ooh, NotGeno gets blown up. Kiki, a little bit healthier, he's level 20. Geno, level 14, so a little bit more susceptible to death, but that was the one try that Kiki wanted, and with that, he'll walk away, and the Gold Fury goes to CLG, and they find themselves with the beginning of the first real lead of the game, 1,500.
Now, we saw it before where LG recognized that Hurriwind doesn't have Aegis. He picked up Phantom, so let's just kill him. Let's just Kraken him or use the Achilles ultimate or whatever it may be. I love to see CLG Luminosity just really focus on that. Look for Hurriwind. He's going to be too much of a problem as it is. If you're committing just taunt into Kraken by keegsmate, Hurriwind's dead. Even with Purification Beads, if his dash is down, he's dead in that situation. That's got to be the identification by LG here, because Hurriwind buying this Phantom, really, really good for the team, but really, really bad if it's just him who's in that cage even.
Right.
You really got to punish him for this pickup.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at what CLGaming has done here and selected Hurriwind to pick up the Phantom, it's at the point where I think CLGaming identified, like, okay, Odin's here, we need a cage. Now, or we need a Phantom. Depending on how annoying Odin's being, you need 2 Phantoms if he's really successful. If you're able to cull what Odin's doing, you only need the one, and you can kind of deal with it elsewhere. And I think what happened, Ryan, was fineokay was already level 12 with the Thorns when CLG realized that they absolutely needed 2 Phantoms. Jigz hadn't hit level 12 yet, so Hurriwind was the only one that could buy it then and there, knowing that Jigz was going to follow up with the second.
Well, Thorns is really important here for fineokay because Thorns does so well into characters like Poseidon that, you know, you drop a Whirlpool and then they can't take it back.
Right.
There's no take-backsies on that, so you can just sit in it with the Thorns and deal a lot of damage to that Poseidon. Or without Thorns, there's no reason that CLG or LG can't just decide, we're just going to taunt Kraken fineokay, kill him right off the bat, and just win the team fight off of that. Thorns is a big dissuading factor for that sort of play style, so I do think that he was kind of forced into buying Thorns by Luminosity's draft. Yeah,
this is one of those games where teleport might not have been the choice here for fineokay. Needs it to kind of compete with the wave clear that Kiki brings, but that teleport definitely takes away your team fight options, forcing his mid laner into that Phantom. It's the ripple effect of decision making here, and again, the reason I bring up this whole conversation is the fact that Hurriwind is in a worse spot because he has to pick this Phantom, but I think it's just one of those like, I guess I have to, because I really think this team needs 2 of them.
And that's typical Hurriwind, willing to take, you know, put himself behind or put himself in an awkward position for the team's benefit. This is a guy who's really, really team-oriented and has really great communication, knows that how relatively important he is to his squad, so no surprise that he's one of the mid laners to pick this up. I'm not sure that, you know, all 12 SPL mid laners are told by their team, yo, we need a Phantom from you, and they're like, okay. I think a lot of teams would be met with, are you serious? They've got a Poseidon. I need Aegis. No way I'm getting Phantom.
Does Ryan Agro Bailey say Phantom or Aegis?
Oh, give me Aegis, dude. No way.
Right now, Homiefe gonna Nemesis damage some of that Whirlpool, giving you that Thorns-like effect that we were showing you. All about that reflect damage. We don't see Mystical Mail much anymore, but I love it on fineokay. Mystical Mail is an item that I love on players with his play style. Again, I called it the Omega, the Maniac. fineokay wants to be way out in front and pushing everybody out, and that Mystical Mail just assists in his play style.
And he's got plenty of damage with that Mystical Mail built in as well, because between the Thorns, the Hide of the Nemean Lion, and that Runic Shield gonna reduce the magical power of keegsmate and Geno, and this is an item that I think has been really, really underpurchased for a long, long time. Reducing power by 50 plus 50 protections is a massive deal.
Yeah.
That may as well read 100 magical protection because you're reducing their power by 50 and you're keeping your magical protection up. So this item is insane. I don't want to see it built more often because that means I, as a mid lane mage, is doing less damage, but it should be built more often. This is a great item, and I love it because not only does it give him that amazing amount of protection, but it also just gives him a little bit of extra power, a little bit of extra health, and that coupled with the Mystical Mail means that you can't just run past him and ignore him.
Right.
You're going to have to deal with him at some point because he'll just kill you otherwise.
And that item has been purchased a little bit more as of late, but usually because of a Guardian matchup in that solo lane. When you strip that Guardian of 50 power, they're basically down to about zero.
Yeah.
So that really has been sort of the reason why I think this item was kind of picked up or initially, and now that players, and we see this from time to time, are reminded of its existence, it's going to go that way. Up and down to avoid the Kraken. But now with that one down, the cage will lock fineokay in. Does LG have the follow-up damage after the fact is the question. There's the target, but Weekend, he's going to find it.
But Gold Fury on the left-hand side. Geno trying to steal it away, but no, CLG secure themselves a Gold Fury Clout. Trying to help out, trying to get Geno out of danger, but it won't matter. Snoopy able to pick that one up with help from the sprint.
Smite 101. Clout here going to fight 1 versus 2 and fall down to the clap coming out from Homiefe. But Smite 101. Commitment on the right side, go for the Gold Fury. This has been the call since Smite had a Gold Fury. I mean, it's just the appropriate response. Counterlogic Gaming showing their fundamentals off right there. Just got to be able to make those plays.
Jigz tried to bring down Weekend, but not enough damage on that Terra to bring down the Achilles, who is starting to build a little bit more defensive. Winged Blade or excuse me, Witchblade pickup by the Achilles, which I really like in this situation because of the hastened katana from Homiefe, who's going to be auto-attacking a lot of the time. Now, I'm not in love with Homie's build overall because it feels like he's splitting the difference between, you know, ability damage and auto-attack damage. If that's hastened katana, stone-cutting sword, an executioner or something like that, I love it. But either way, this Witchblade is a nice reaction to just that one item. Plus, it'll really help against Snoopy.
That was, you know, it's funny. We spend too much time together. That is word for word what I was going to bring up. Specifically, how it works against a katana. I mean, this is a very intelligent building from Weekend, and I think that's the identity of Luminosity these days, is how deep they're thinking about the game.
It's also relevant against fineokay on the Bellona because remember, she's getting healed by the third Scourge hit. I mean, he even went for the Ninja Tab Eye to try and up that attack speed to make sure it happens a little bit more often. If you're slowing down those attacks, it's less healing. In the shield stance, you're stopping a lot of those block stacks from coming through. It's going to help out a lot.
It's fun to watch Luminosity kind of take this brainiac approach, because I think that for a long time, Weekend has not really been thought of as a smart player. Whereas from my position, Ryan, I've always kind of thought of Weekend as that guy playing those setup positions and those setup characters because he understood the value of his other teammates and understood how the compositions worked. So I think this season we're seeing more of that thought process come to the forefront from Weekend and the boys.
I mean, if you're watching Weekend stream, you'd be hard-pressed to sell that he doesn't think about the game in an interesting way or think about the game a lot. And you might not agree with the things that he says, but I mean, I played with the guy as well. He's really, really smart when it comes to the game of Smite, and Luminosity would not be the same team without him in the jungle. Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind.
Absolutely. But surrounding himself with the players that he has surrounded himself with, Kiki is always out there thinking about something weird, playing something weird. Weekend has kind of been sort of in between. Kigz, I'm not too sure about Geno. Kigz has been a little bit more, you know, his own player, and then Clout generally kind of sits there closer to the traditional. And I think I bring up Clout because I think it's important to know that Luminosity isn't an echo chamber. Because I do think that Clout will speak out against some of the weirder stuff that we see come out from the right side of the map, and having that dissenting opinion is really important.
I completely agree. You can't just have one team who's thinking that, you know, oh man, you know, if we just play Opwash support every game, there's no way they can fight it. You need that guy who's like, wake up, dudes. What are you doing?
You're a little too far down that path. Yeah, for sure. I think Clout's the guy to kind of keep them grounded, because we all know Weekend and Kiki will play whatever the hell they want if let be, and
Kuma jungle, baby.
I liked the Kumba jungle, but right now it's fineokay in the jungle, and he ain't going to sleep anytime soon. Kiki with an interesting ring, splitting up the team fight, trying a different approach here, but the collapse from the Nemesis on the left side is a big deal. KikiSoCheeky has a channel from Geno, but he's in a lot of trouble here, finds the knockup, but Snoopy does get kill number 10.
And that's just too far forward there from Kigz, just in the wrong spot. That's starting to become a trend in these team fights where he's stepping up a little bit too far. He tried to crack it out Hurriwind, but just didn't end up finding the mark, and if you're committing that against a mage with no Aegis, it's got to hit. It just has to hit.
The problem with that is Clout gets collapsed, jumped, pounded, struck. I mean, every ability came out there. Every ability came out there and cut down Clout. The problem here with Poseidon versus some of the other mages is how relatively short range Poseidon is. That Kraken does not have the range that other characters do, and I'm not comparing it to Thoth either. Kraken is a shorter range than you might want it to be a lot of the time.
Completely agree. We should just make it global.
Stop.
What if like a teleport style?
No.
And you just pressed where on the map where you wanted the Kraken. That'd be very like lore accurate. I mean, the Kraken could be anywhere.
Not on land. In fact, it would be.
He summons it from land as it is.
Well,
clearly that's not an issue for him.
You brought up the lore accuracy. I'm telling you no.
Well, I mean, the lore clearly works so far, so why not just make it global?
I don't think it's that accurate right now.
Why are you talking like that?
Because you started it.
CLG starting the Fire Giant down to about half HP is Kiki. The only one very close. He's going to drop the cage, but immediately eats that Nemesis ultimate. Phantom is used, though. CLG looking to keep the chase.
And they're going to stick on the Fire Giant as well. Big taunt coming out from Geno. Hurriwind lines it up, but he misses. Splits the uprights. And that Fire Giant going to be leashed out. Snoopy tried to keep onto it. But CLGaming finally will let go of the objective. Luminosity, that's the second time that they've stopped that. CLGaming, they keep going for it. But Luminosity, they keep showing up.
We're going to have to do it again. Weakens on this left-hand side, and this minion wave is going to let CLG know that he's here. Now, fineokay's on the way, and he does have teleport available if he needs to get back towards this fire giant fight.
His tier 2 tower is likely going to fall here on the left side. Geno is available. Unsuccessful in his last efforts to really steal one away. But Clout's here as well. And as soon as that Rom shows his face, CLGaming got to be scared here. This time going for the kills. Doesn't have all of the range, though. Geno shows up down on top of Hurriwind. 5-on-4 for Luminosity.
Weekend coming around the backside. Kraken going to knock up one. It's Homie. He's going to
triple taunt
from Clout and a big blink in from Weekend. He executes one, but misses the second.
But Clout's there to clean up. Double kill for the artist formerly known as Venium. 10-12. Luminosity trailing in the kills, but they are winning right now. That team fight and the fire giant will tie the game, and then they're going to go for the towers that will give them the lead. What a fantastic play from LG. I'm just going to give you the mic because there were so many good parts in that fight to break down.
First of all, classic Weekend. Decides I'm going to go split push, dudes. Good luck and see what happens without me. Then the team fight starts to go well, so Weekend says, all right, I'll come over. It's worth my time. I'll come around the backside. His blink in and continuation of that engagement, beautiful for Luminosity. Critical, in fact, to make sure they get the entire team wiped. Kigz is cracking on the mark that time around. Homie being the only one who gets knocked up, not a big deal. Even with the additional protections provided by fineokay's ultimate, wasn't enough to save his life. And again, so much of it started off by Geno with the Athena, him and Kiki chasing down Hurriwind. No Aegis again comes into play. Even with the Phantom, it still wasn't enough for him to get away. Luminosity just juggle the player aggression perfectly, where the call is clear, the call is concise, and everyone is following it as well, where it's, okay, first we kill Hurriwind, cool. Kigz gets a big Kraken. Oh, it's Homie who's dead. Cool, let's make sure that he goes down. Oh, next up, Jigz. Next up, fineokay, Snoopy, you know, whatever it may be. Everyone seems to be working in tandem perfectly right now for Luminosity.
This is great Smite to watch. This might be Weekend's best team since the AFK days.
I don't think there's much question about it. I mean, he went to Worlds with that Allegiance roster that was kind of thrown together at the last minute that had a ton of talent on it.
Which, by the way, Cope Baby's back. He's playing in the minor leagues.
I saw that today. Yeah, it's going to be Cope. I think Cope's a really good player. I know he didn't get a very good rep with his time in the SPL, but I thought he was pretty undervalued there. I mean, skill-wise, may have been a little bit outmatched, but you could tell that the energy he brought to the team and was in the right spots more often than he wasn't. So I think he's certainly worthy of a minor league spot.
That dude, yeah, he was a cool guy. We'll see how it works out for Team Baltic and their new player there. We'll see how that one ends up. But Luminosity Gaming, 6,000 gold above Counter Logic Gaming. And looking really, really clean at it.
Gotta ask you though, what are the chances that Cope goes for a Willix game 1? The classic Cope of Willix in his first game in the minor league.
Game 1, I'm not sure, but I'd love to see it.
I think he's gonna do it.
We'll see.
It's not gonna be a conscious choice. He just won't be able to help himself.
He'll just, all right, we want.
Yo, you know what's pretty good here? A Willix.
Lock. I don't think so. The game.
I misclicked.
The game did the thing.
We ran out of bank time. Cope, there's still, it's full. I don't know.
Besides the point. Besides the point right now. LG on the right side looking to leverage their fire giant. Nice taunt. I love the timing of that taunt. Jigz can't collapse the rocks. And so Kiki gets on out of there. The ring, and at the end of the day, Luminosity don't have the impact on the Phoenix that they wanted to.
Nice stun on the Clout. He's going to eat about half his HP and poke because of that. That's what makes Thoth so difficult to siege into, is that poke over the wall.
Yeah, just being able to cut right through the geometry. Weekend here, split pushing in the mid lane, very standard 4-on-1. Trouble as Homiefe ults, but it's the other way around. Jigz is going to get cracking and smacking. Weekend on top of that one has Geno in the wings. Phoenix, not even the target. Luminosity are looking for the players. It's all about the team fight. fineokay battling back against keegsmate with that Thorns. But as everybody was distracted on the back end, Luminosity, and it's with that swiftness. Luminosity paid zero attention to the Phoenix, did the team fight, and then at the same time, focus the Phoenix down. And that, you mentioned it in the last team fight, Ryan, that's the scariest thing about Luminosity for me, is how clean and concise their calls are. I can see their comms.
It's perfect work there by Kiki to distract Hurriwind at the exact same moment. Geno taunts at Jigz and make sure that he falls.
Ring one more time, and this time we see Clout just going on top of the burn. He's going to take to the sky to avoid some of the nonsense and deal the damage back. Snoopy goes down to the hand of the Hunter, and now it's zoning out from Kiki, and again, the Phoenix goes down. The plays that these guys are drawing up and communicating, like I said, I mean, it's almost like I have closed captioning on. I can see whoever the shot caller is, whether it's Weekend or otherwise, I can see the consistent calls. I know who they're targeting. I know when the objective is going because of how quickly everybody is responding.
And it's working out beautifully for them now. They've taken the lead in the kills, mid and right Phoenix down, and plenty of gold available. I mean, Weekend just bought a 3K pot and popped it in anticipation of this left side push.
Yeah. Luminosity, 100,000 gold right now, and just no signs of slowing down. And what I like about Weekend on this Achilles is that he's just playing jungler. Like, there's no play style difference with him in this Achilles. He's not trying to be cute with a new character and trying something new. He's just like, I can play this god well, and he will be my assassin of choice.
Achilles might get his first 2 victories in the same day.
I think that's likely. Luminosity and talk about things that I didn't think I'd be saying. Luminosity right now are not only taking the game to Counter Logic Gaming in this game number 1, and this is a best of 3. In this game number 1, LG looks better than CLG.
They've just worked better as a unit for me, and
Yes.
I think really a lot of it comes down to the draft, though. As I mentioned, LG's draft works so well together. They're able to, you know, get relics out and then re-engage. They're working together well as a unit. On top of that, CLG's lineup just doesn't seem to really mesh when it comes to the god selections that they made, and I think that's really shown. I mean, gods have been putting up good individual performances, but even when it comes to the builds that they've gone for, I mean, Homie's build doesn't really mesh with itself.
I feel that. CLG look a little disjointed tonight. We'll see why. Kiki way up in front, just zoning, while see him on the back line.
Look at that. Kiki doesn't do anything. He literally just walks at him.
Yep.
And everyone from CLG backs it up, and then the Phoenix is gone. And they go, well, maybe we should have done something in that situation.
And interesting. Kiki's build is a build that you might say doesn't really agree with itself, but I actually really, really like his items of choice. All tank, the Masamune, kind of a hybrid item, but the tank version of that one. And the rest of the squad gonna do the business up front. Chase this fineokay out. All the Phoenixes are down. Kiki's on that right side pushing up that wave because he knows that this right side Phoenix is about to respawn.
Big play there on the fineokay to get his ultimate out of danger. Now, Jigz probably could have cracked into that one. I wanted him to be a little bit more patient before, and now I think I'd like to see him a little bit quicker on that trigger. But at the same time, this allows LG to save that crack in it for if there's a Titan push and try and blow it up.
Exactly, and the Thorns is on cooldown now. Whether you use it to hit the characters or the Titan, you're in a better spot. I like him holding that right there. Easy, Phoenix. All 3 birds are down. Luminosity in the position. They've got the Fire Giant for all the time in the world. They have a whole minute. They're ready to go here. keegsmate on the back line. Kiki leading the charge. Right on in there. Here comes the aggression. The ring is dropped. fineokay is going to eat dirt. keegsmate in trouble, and Snoopy fights back, taking care of the Hunter.
Well, Snoopy's Aegis is down now, though, and Kiki going to bring him down in response. Jigz, very low, taunts it in. Clout notch number 4. And it looks like LG's got game 1.
Yeah, this is going all the way. Defense is good from CLG. That's it. 16 to 13, 41, just shy of 42 minutes of play. And this was an LG team that I want to see continue playing.
It's fun to watch them play, isn't it? Because they play a little bit of a different style. There's still clearly stuff they need to work on. That last team fight, Jigz gets up close and personal with whoever Geno taunts. He's melee ranged with them. You just don't need to be that close. He dies because of it, but At the same time, it baited Snoopy into the team fight really, really deep. I really think CLG is going to pick something and try and put Kiegs on a god that he's less comfortable with and focus him out, because that seemed to be the strategy for them a little bit. Kiegs has been out of position in that game a couple times. That's something that LG's got to work on. But at the same time, I mean, if the rest of the team is following up, protecting him as well as they are, and they're just executing those big bursts and killing whoever Kiegs is hitting at first, it's going to work.
Don't forget, the kid's a rookie. He's new to the league.
Oh, yeah.
This is the first time he's playing against these players. Plenty of room to grow, nowhere near his ceiling. Now, MVP for this one, you got me. I said it a number of times. This was a team victory for LG.
For me, I think I got to give it to Geno.
Yeah.
Geno played so well. He was the big enabler for what Luminosity was doing. I really think he played lights out.
Really important stuff coming out there from the support Athena. We'll see if the desk agrees. It's Finch and it's Hindu.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Ryan. Finch and Hindu are here after LG with maybe a bit of an upset there over CLG taking game one.
Upset on paper for sure, and with how the season has gone so far. Look back at last week, CLG trounced LG. That was a Luminosity game that was, from the outset, all about them working as a team. The casters were saying it throughout. This is one of the reasons this team is there together as well. Can we just point that out? Like, these people were all drafted into this composition to be part of LG.
Yeah.
And this is what they executed. The team plays where their strength is going to lie, and it showed it in that game. Composition-wise, they had a plan and they executed it. Was it clean? No, but it was really good. It was really strong.
And for me, a lot of it really came down to that fight around the Fire Giant, Graham, when they were able to get that one on their side and win the team fight too, and it turned from there. I don't know if it was LG looking dominant the whole time, but they certainly looked strong in that fight. And a big part of it for them, Kiki, who you all voted as the MVP, so good call there in the Mixer chat. And Graham, I mean, do you feel like it was dominant the whole time, or was that play really the big swing?
I mean, if you like, you put a ring on it, and that's kind of what Odin does, you know? Job done. That's pretty much it.
Job's
and
a good one.
They have the advantage of having the Athena and the Achilles to come in too, locking down the likes of the Thoth, one of the major damage dealers, and even allowing... Basically, the Odin pick was just something that's perfect against the comp they were against.
Yeah.
Nobody could escape the ring, which caused them to have to get 2 Phantoms, one of those on a mid lane.
Yeah, and that is a big question there, too. Hurriwind ends up having to pick up the Phantom and doesn't have some of the safer relics like Aegis that you might want. That's just what Odin can do sometimes, force you into maybe the choice you wouldn't want to make.
It's funny because the second Phantom pickup, I do understand they needed a second Phantom there. Seeing it on the middle laner, I'm not so sure about. Having the Aegis means you have survived the Bird Bomb, but also you can survive the initial burst of damage. That's generally what they're looking for with the ring, is the initial burst. The Phantom helps him get out of the ring, but realistically, it's not for himself that he's picking it up, it's the rest of the team too. Having the rest of the team available to be able to get out of the ring, and because of his positioning, he can get in there to support that, is probably the reason why.
Yeah, Kiki ended up looking really strong for him in that game, but you can drop the Odin cage down if you want to, but you're going to need some follow-up for it. And in that front, Clout and Kiegs came up big for them. Kiegs in particular really looked strong on this Poseidon. And, I mean, it's a little bit easier when you only have to worry about aiming inside that Odin ring, I imagine. But, I mean, Kiegs is a strong player on box and looking great on PC, too.
Yeah, definitely right. And Kiegs is just finding his groove in the Pro League now, alongside Geno, which I'm really impressed with Geno. Even Agro was saying too. I think Geno's really stepping up to be a dangerous support. He's got a lot of legs on him, as I like to call it right now.